Hey there, everybody. I'm playing behind the camera today, and we are here with the lovely Miss Keondra, my beautiful sister lock practitioner. And I am going to give her an opportunity to introduce herself before we get into the questions that you guys sent to us. So take it away.
Okay. Hi. My name is Keondra Steagall, and I own Branding Image Salon. I have been a professional stylist 11 years this year. I have a natural hair care license. I also have a cosmetology license, which here in Tennessee you have to have a natural hair care to do anything, I guess, to start in a salon. But then I also went into doing the full cosmetology so I could cut, color, relax, that type of thing. Along with that, I do have an instructor's license, so I can go to any school here in Tennessee and instruct natural hair care or full cosmetology. I am, of course, a sister lock practitioner. I did that class because I wanted to set myself aside from everyone else that decided to specialize in natural hair care. So this has really been a journey for me. So 11 years this year, and I'm excited to be a hairstylist.
So thank you for that beautiful introduction. So we are going to jump right in with the questions that were sent by the Butterfly Squad.
Okay.
The first one is, how long does it take to get to the adult locking phase?
Okay, so that is a difficult question because so many people have so many different types of hair. Most African American women have at least 2 grades of hair. So then you've got us crazies that have 3 and 4 different textures. So you can have mom, dad, and grandma. So depending on the texture of the hair, depends on how it locks. I have met women that have had their sister locks 20 years that have cut them off and started over, and their ends still are not settled. So it depends on the hair and the way the texture of the hair curls and settles in.
So does a certain hair type have better results with a specific locking method?
I don't know if a specific hair type has better results. I do know that I guess you could say the thicker, the more coarse the hair is, the quicker it does start to settle in. And when we're saying settle, let's make sure we get that correct. That is matting. That is matted hair that has gotten dry and brittle and coiled around each other. And so that thicker, coarse, more corkscrewed, curled hair will settle a lot quicker than someone that's fine and wavy.
Awesome. So how can you decide between traditional locks or sister locks?
Honestly, to be straightforward, it's about the money. It's about what are you willing to put into self. I always say that sister locks are the Mercedes-Benz of the locks. A lot of times traditional locking method have been the way to go because it's easy. And when I say it's easy, it's only easy for the stylist at that time. It's not easy for the client in the chair because they have to go through not shampooing, having wax or gel crusted and flaky. And so sometimes that can be too much when you have a professional job. And so a lot of times if you're going to go into the sister locks, you've not only researched it, the look is a lot tidier, the look is a lot more put together, and it's a lot more acceptable in the public eye, basically.
So that leads into the next question, which is, what's the difference between palm rolling and interlocking?
Okay, so I personally do not like palm rolling. It hurts at a certain point. The hands start to hurt during that time, get red, you're wet, you've got all this product on the hands. Now don't get me wrong, a lot of times people are like, I want it palm rolled, but really when you're palm rolling, I would personally only do that to tidy up the lock as it has settled. I would still go in piece by piece with my fingers and tighten at the root and pin for them to dry with traditional. So palm rolling is lot more physical. Interlocking, you're going in with a tool and you're just kind of going ahead and locking it right then and there. It doesn't really have to settle. It doesn't have to mesh. It automatically, it's done.
Awesome. So that leads to the next question, which is, how is the pattern chosen for establishment of Sisterlocks?
Okay, so with Sisterlocks, during the class, we're actually taught to go in with a reverse 4 for everyone. Now, why they wouldn't do a reverse 4 starting them out, I do not know. I know that that's what we're taught. I also know that if you try to go in with a 3 pattern or something different, it's going to come down. You start to use those different patterns as the hair not only has locked, but also as if you want body or you want fullness, is when you would go in with a different pattern. But I personally stick with that reverse 4 until we're settled in, and if we decide to do something different, then we go there.
Awesome. So can the client decide the size of their Sisterlocks or traditional locks?
Yes. The client should decide. Now, I personally, because I am a full cosmetologist, I try to not only read what they want, but what they need. Because sometimes if the hair is thin and fine and they're wanting really small locks, a lot of times that's not good, because once they settle in, they get heavy. And so I personally am having some issues with my hair being thin and fine, and they settle this way and now they're falling out. And so I think that we should have went a little bit bigger with my square at the root so that it could hold on to the lock where it wouldn't be so heavy.
So Butterfly Squad, this is like her soapbox question. And it's, can you color Sisterlocks? And if so, how long do you have to wait to do it?
Yes, it is a soapbox question, because I've gotten a lot of Sisterlock practitioner and consultants have missed out because they do not explain why they won't color. Here in the state of Tennessee, if you do not have a cosmetology license, you cannot color hair. And so with Sisterlocks, you do not have to have a license. Period. You can do them out of your home. You cannot work in a salon. And so what they're doing is, because they're not supposed to be coloring, they will tell you, no, you can't get them colored. When yes, you can. I color them every day, all day long. There's nothing wrong with coloring them. So people are missing out. They're missing out. And I wish they would just say, hey, I don't have the license to color.
And if anybody is looking to color, even though you may be going to someone different, Keondra does fire color, if you can't tell from that red that she has going on in her hair with some little orange. So her contact information, y'all know, is always in the description box, but it'll just be in there this time too. So the next question is, how can Sisterlocks look full if you have low density or fine hair?
It's all about that pattern. When we're going in with the reverse 4, we're setting the foundation to lock. Now, if you're needing some height, some fullness, that type of situation, we can go in with the reverse 3, and that's going to give some fullness. Also, I have ladies that in the front or the top portion of the scalp, I will go in with the reverse 4, but I will stop them forward so that when they throw them back, they've got that good fullness to them. So there's always a way to make them full after the fact.
Awesome. And how do you manage dry scalp? I know this is a question that everybody who wears Sisterlocks talk about.
Right. With the dry scalp, really it just depends. It's very difficult, I guess, because it's person by person. Sometimes you start to get a little dryness to it because when you're natural, you're doing a lot of creams, custards, conditioner, co-washing. We're doing so much to it that when we go to Sisterlocks and we do nothing, it doesn't know how to act. But keep in mind, once you are settled, there is nothing wrong with oiling your scalp. misting it with a spray oil or something like that, or even an oil sheen that has a little mineral oil and alcohol to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Where the issue comes in is when you're going to get retightened, being greasy, and the tool sliding. That's when you need to make sure that before you go in that you're stripped down, that you need to make sure you're the driest as you can be so that those tools don't slip so bad. So if you're dealing with the itchy dry scalp and you're settled, go ahead and put some oil to your scalp. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're in the settling process, maybe we need to work on your shampooing of finding the right one that works good, that doesn't keep you so dry.
Awesome. So how much new growth should you have before getting Sisterlocks established if you are relaxed?
I would say at least 3 inches. I think that if I remember correctly in class, we are taught 3 to 4 inches. I have done them as small as 3 inches because the clip tool, I'm able to do that. I'm comfortable with that clip tool. So as long as you've got those 3 inches, we can roll.
Awesome. And does and should retightens hurt?
Well, my retightening hurts. I am tender-headed now that I do have Sisterlocks. I've never in my life been tender-headed. I can remember my sister getting beat down because she kept moving when my aunt would brush her ponytails, and I didn't understand that. But now I do. I'm very tender-headed. So what my consultant does for me is she sprays me down with water as she goes, which is what I try to do for my ladies when they come in. Normally, I shampoo them because I want them to be clean. I want to get any gook out that they didn't from when they did oil their scalp. A lot of times I'm coloring them, so it's wet anyway. And so that tool glides really smooth. You may have a little tension around the edges, but it shouldn't be painful.
Okay. And I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but it is there a difference between going to a loctician that has a full cosmetology license versus not?
Yes, which is exactly what we're talking about with the color. If you're a full cosmetologist, which many are not, a lot of people are upset because they don't understand why I don't sell hair. Why I'm not in this big hair game. Why did I choose Sisterlocks? Why would I take the time? Well, first of all, I'm a braider. So I like detailed work anyway. I micro braid, I kinky twist, I cornrow. Those things are very detailed and time consuming. I specialize in natural hair care. So I'm gonna make sure that your natural hair looks good, feels good. You can rock that in this professional world without someone being, they don't have a relaxer, they're not straight. So I enjoy the Sisterlocks. I enjoy the people. A lot of times with full cosmetologists, they don't want to take the time. They want to sew something in real quick, sell you some hair, and throw you out. Throw a relaxer in and move you along. With Sisterlocks and natural hair care, it takes time.
Absolutely. So the next one is, will the relax ends lock too? If not, do they break off? I'm thinking when she sent me this, it was about Sisterlocks. It had to be.
Okay, yeah. With my personal clientele, I noticed that they do start to lock some on the ends, because keep in mind, the hair is matting. The settling is the matting of the hair. So even with relaxer, if you're not doing anything to it, if you're not touching it, if you're not doing anything but kind of scrunching it as you go, at some point that's going to mesh together. Now, that does not mean they will not break off. The ends, some of them will start to shed and break off, and that's where you get the people that start to cut them, because the hair's no longer getting a shock. The relaxer is a chemical shock. It's saying to you, like, okay, what do you want me to do? I don't know if you want me to grow, if you want me to fall off, if you're going to be straight, if you're going to be curly. It doesn't know what to do. So either it gets still or it falls off.
So we're down to the last 2 questions.